Yes, at some point. Yeah. Enjoy. Oh no. Hey, where are we coming? Where are we coming? Where are we signing in at? Oh jeez. That's a strike. Yeah, I don't know. You've got that, and you've got your bandana, so obviously, obviously that's what. How do you get past the National Guardsman? Oh, that's strike two. All right. Sorry. So the mayoral race. Yeah. In a previous episode, I mentioned how I saw a huge banner for him on a side of a building, and it is on a side of a building of it's like, oh crud, forgot the name. But it's a photography studio with the last name of Hills, so it's likely relative. Yeah, probably. Oh, I was gonna say troop. Are you sure? Oh, they're all over State Street. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either of them, so. Oh, we should, yeah, compete. Run against each other. No, that sounds great. I will run, you will also run, and we could host a debate and just have it like whatever debate, and well, there's two candidates already debating each other. Let's invite the others, and then we gang up on them. Yeah, a long time. Yeah. Good. What area of town? What area of town? Oh yeah. Well, there. Okay, very dangerous to do. You do not sound like a chipmunk to me, but remember, we did have that issue earlier where you did in fact sound like Theodore. Wait, you're. Oh, there we go. Oh. Oh. Block. Yes. Yeah, Fuzzy Clark. There's there. Well, thank you for the compliment. It'll be great. Coming at you inside of a chipmunk burrow. Continue talking about these guys. Oh, it's funny because it's it's incredibly vague. you just got triggered. I was gonna say, what was that? Put up the put up the colored bars. Technical difficulty. You deleted the banner in the back. This is all because of that part you bought from China. Oh no. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. Your computer part.
Okay. Alright, and we need to use this. Okay. Alright, that's gonna be way too loud. Let's bring her down, 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 up, down, down, up. Alright, let's see how that sounds.
I can hear you fine, but I've been able to hear you fine. So.
Alright, that's gonna be way too loud. Yeah, we're back in business, baby! Okay. Alright, okay. Back in business. This is why we really need somebody to help us out here. Alright. Chipmunk, unintelligible. It's not just you. We need an alien translation. Damn Russian interference. Or the Zuck Jammer.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good God.
Third strike. The Zuck Jammer.
Oh, well, you know, okay. But, So anyway, I saw this and I was, I thought that was cool, but not as cool as what's coming up next from the Scanner Radio. First up from the scanner, we have some Christmas news. APB reported suspicious activity in multiple locations. Male with white beard wearing red suit seen going in houses, carrying an overflowing bag of wrapped packages. Last seen traveling at a high rate of speed in a red sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer. Ho ho ho! On license plates. Santa came to town. I just hope it's not that guy from that pickup truck post a couple months ago.
That was a pickup truck. He doesn't have any magic.
Yeah, I don't know.
He
He could. That guy could have had magic. It's hard to say.
Generosity.
Yeah, but the scanner had a little fun on Christmas with the Santa Claus stuff. They had another one. QPD is searching for a subject that has been entering houses this evening. Description of the man is wearing a red coat, red pants, and a red hat. Driving a red Ford Ranger pickup truck.
Oh, no.
No, they didn't say that. That would have been good. Subject has a full white beard weighing around 300 elbs and around 5'8". He's known for taking cookies. Dun, dun, dun. Santa Claus breaking in. You need to get turned up now, apparently. Well, we'll see how that works. And then finally, this even hit local news. Terror at the Capitol building. Dun, 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 dun. Rioters, armed standoff inside Capitol. Shots fired. Dun, 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 dun. Chaos, mayhem, insurrection, sedition, impeachment. Do, 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 do.
The new Iron Maiden track, you know?
Oh. And then this guy had some context. Protesters that made it inside were being shot with rubber bullets and tear gas has been used inside the U.S. Capitol. Do, do, do. Bum. Ba-da. So obviously this was the biggest news of the past couple weeks. Insurrection, attempted coup d'etat.
Yeah, that's a bit of an exaggeration using that language, but
well, I don't know. I think that's fourth strike.
Yeah, probably. Hey, that's the other big news stories is the tech overlords. But
this is what kicked it off. It was January 6th when all of our faith in American democracy was shattered by this insurrection, caused and fomented by Trump, particularly on social media. So they had to take decisive action and shut it down. So he couldn't further incite violence, even though he could say go on TV anytime he wanted with a press conference, because he's still the president of the United States until Wednesday. I think that what?
Could he drone strike American citizens?
Oh yeah, obviously. There was that recent article that came out that said that was perfectly legal.
The what?
That was it the ABA? I can't remember what legal group put out that. I think it might have even been the ALCU. put out that drone strike's perfectly fine, perfectly legal on American citizens.
Yeah, I know. It's the. I wish people knew how things worked instead of pretending like just creating this a straw man of things. Oh my gosh, look at this insurrection and rebellion. Oh, we must take this tyrant down. It's like this is a pretty easy tyrant to take down if literally everything you do is succeeds against this tyrant, and
Yeah, I don't know.
you
People
you have the power to do it. I don't know.
people don't people are confused about who the authoritarians in this scenario are.
I don't. Uh,
When
I
when
mean,
when the man that they claim is, the iron-fisted dictator is pilloried in every major media outlet continually for 4 straight years with no actual, people would be shot and put in prison if this was like legit, Stalinist regime situation we had going on.
oh, definitely.
People be disappeared, going on helicopter rides, the works. None of that's.
You mean falling out of helicopters?
Yeah, well, it's implied. It's implied they they get tossed out at height. But none of that's happening or whatever. I don't know. People are hysterical about all this stuff.
And the caveat is, if it is because it's just a continuation of prior administration's policies.
Helicopter
FISA
rides?
stuff.
Oh, that stuff.
No, being disappeared and.
Oh yeah, no. Like, what was that, Rendition? They even made a movie about that.
No.
Kidnapped black sites and third-party nations so we can have deniability.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore, Adam. They made a Hollywood film about that, so that doesn't happen anymore. I don't get it, because stuff like that is legit happening out there, and everybody's like getting all squinty-eyed looking at Trump, saying, "I don't trust that guy." When for the past 19 years now, going on 20-year anniversary of September 11th this year, we've been legit disappearing and torturing folks in Guantanamo Bay and elsewhere. But Donald Trump is the authoritarianism come from our very trailer parks and sundry, what do they call them? Christian white nationalists, nihilists.
Oh, don't even. Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, like, okay, some of those people are like are on the Capitol, chanting like "We love Trump" or like just weird, quasi worship of the guy, and that's like dumb and stuff. You shouldn't be doing that to any president of the United States. But like it's like, okay, yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's like, and they're seditionists. It's like, well, I don't know what the.
Pull up my pocket dictionary, sedition.
And they're terrorists. And it's worse than 9/11. I was like, you lost me a couple steps ago. I'm like, you had me, and then it's like, oh, and no.
Yeah, it was billed as the worst attack. I don't know. The weird thing is that in like 2 years from now, all this stuff is going to be like in the rear view and no one's going to care. It'll be like when Trump got elected and everybody was getting all misty-eyed over George Bush. And they're like, W was such a breath of fresh air compared to Donald Trump. And I remember at the time, he was getting the same shtick. He was, there were cartoonists and stuff putting him in like a military junta uniform and stuff like this, calling him a Nazi. I'm like,
yeah, I remember when he was leaving on was it Marine One, or I guess it wasn't One when he was done with his.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it.
But I remember when he was leaving. I remember because I was in college and all the professors are all like, I'm glad that evil SOB is gone. Oh, I almost shed tears watching that guy, fly away on that. It's such a great time for our country now. And I'm like, that is an unhealthy relationship and attachment you have with the person who you've never met, and you probably don't have any, who did not have any actual direct impact on your life, despite how you feel about your choice of cable news.
Yeah, it's common with online personalities. They call it a parasocial relationship, where famous people don't have any idea who you are, but they feature a prominent role in a lot of people's lives. And so they'll watch all of their films, watch their interviews, or whatever. Uh, Even worse for like some streamers and stuff, because they'll interact with their chat, and so there's all these people that feel like they have this close relationship with the person, and then it can become unhealthy and overly attached. And this person's, they don't know who you are or care, and you have this weird, one-sided, unreciprocated relationship with them. It's kind of weird stuff going on in the world. But yeah, famous people. That's been going on for years. What was that?
Right.
It was John Hinckley shot Reagan to try to impress Jodie Foster, whom he was in love with. So who knows? But and I believe someone in the chat said rebellion is patriotic, and yeah, in some situations I totally agree. So to the extent that, and I even said this during the Black Lives Matters protests when they were burning down Minneapolis. If I don't know, if they do the math, because you have to do your own math, and if you come to the conclusion that for whatever reason you don't have any legitimate access to participation to effect change in a nonviolent way, then you have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it works. That's how this thing happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like the, yeah.
But everybody has to do that math for themselves, and a lot of people will do it, and they'll say, "This ain't bad enough. You guys are silly. That election was completely fair, run above board. No fraud at all happened ever in any of the systems, states, precincts across this nation of the millions and millions of votes cast. Not a single fraudulent vote occurred."
Yeah, and the United Kingdom will always be part of Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Or wait.
Other way around.
What are you talking about? I don't know. I mean, that's the thing, right? You need to have people bought in, or at the very least feel like they are represented in some form or fashion, feel like they have some a seat at the table. I want to say that, like, even in our lifetime, that happened with like the PLO and over in Israel and Palestine area. That's what they seem to have softened from their activities in the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s, and that's because they had some sort of actual or perceived participation with their governance. Then you have the rise of organizations like Hamas, who kind of took up that mantle, though, and said, "No, the Palestinian people do not have this." I don't know, like the PLO is, they don't know what they're doing. Listen to us, and I mean, then you have that issue again. So, not good when people don't believe that they have say or see the table.
Right. That was the crux of the colonials over here. Like, all right. Look, I know you were fighting France and doing whatever you're doing. You need money. But we gotta have a say, give us a seat in Parliament, do this stuff. And if they had done that, but they didn't want to do that. So they were, in the words of Thomas Jefferson, you can't abide any longer. And if you can't abide it any longer and you can't participate or affect change in nonviolent ways, then you have an obligation, I'd say, to then cast off the yoke of oppression that you're being put under. But, I mean, okay, I don't know, because I think some people dispute that fact. I don't think that there's any dispute about that. What else are you going to do? Live as a slave? You don't have to do that right. You can demand your freedom and die for it and fight for it and refuse to give in. I mean, this is basic, existential truths about being a human being that I think people miss in the natural rights argument, and they don't completely understand or don't understand it in the same way I do. That you can't be forced to do anything. Because at the end of the day, you can just say no, and you force them to kill you. That we don't have mind control happening anywhere that I know of outside of some DARPA lab with electrodes inside a rat's brain.
Yeah.
All right. So, end of the day, you've had enough, and you can't take no more. And then you put your foot down and you say, okay, and everybody's got their point where they're going to draw that line. It's going to be different for a lot of people. It doesn't seem...
The thing with self-help, right? That sticks out with law school, right? Self-help is always an option. It's incredibly disfavored, but it's always there as an option.
Yeah, you got to live with the consequences and justify it, and if you can justify it under the law or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What's the deal? Hey,
Menendez brothers.
Like,
I think some of those cases,
Yeah.
Where abused women kill their abusers, like Lorena Bobbitt, was her attack justified? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, the whole. I was thinking about, and then the system's supposed to work. So okay, well, you acted out, you didn't follow the rules, and so you're going to be arrested and prosecuted and tried and stuff. But you know what? There's people who are all for jury nullification. So, or there's prosecutors who are saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to try this person who we have more than enough evidence to convict this person of whatever crime. So then, okay, what are we learning here? That you can actually do some crimes and you're not going to be tried for it, or you could do some crimes, you're going to be tried for it, and the jury's going to tell you, we're not going to convict this guy.
Right. There's always that. I don't know. Because if you take away all the subjective elements, it probably shouldn't work that way.
Right.
But that's the way it's set up currently. And there's some justice in that. There's also, it injects prejudice, and so to the extent, you think like Jim Crow South accused black people of crimes, and they don't get a fair shake. There was a famous novel where the plot sort of circulated around that thing that was happening. I really like it. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh yeah, that one.
Harper Lee.
Like, the suspense is killing me, Zach. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
he was the guy was accused of rape.
Atticus Finch, right?
Atticus Finch had to defend him. All that stuff.
I haven't read that since high school. I do remember liking it though.
It's really good. Recommend reread. I reread it a couple years ago. Anyway, so I don't know. The prejudice can enter in that way, but if you structured your society in such a way where you removed that, let's say, jury acts as the fact finder, and so they're relegated to determining which facts are true or false. They make that determination, and then based on that, as a matter of law, basically, it would filter then to the judge to determine if that meets the elements. All right. So elements of murder, for example, killed a guy, and you had, preconceived desire to do so, and you pointed a gun directly at their head.
Don't even. You're gonna trigger me here.
Anyway, whatever. And then they find all of the elements necessary to find a murder conviction for a person to be true beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, that's all you gotta do. You have to answer yes or no to these fact elements, and if you say no, then no conviction. But then the judge makes the determination based on that. The way it works now, it's just sort of like they don't do that. It's just a guilty or not guilty thing for the most case, and there's not a, what do they call them? I can't remember exactly, but you can it does that specifically, and the jury then answers the specific questions related to the elements. It's not common. You know what I'm talking about?
So jury instructions?
No, because the judge instructs the jury, but then there's a thing. You can have the verdict parsed up into the different parts, and then oftentimes this gets up on appeal because there's inconsistent findings within that process. If you don't just have a yes or no.
The last time I was in a courtroom was
3 days ago. Or
yesterday. The last time I was on a criminal case was none, so I wouldn't know.
Anyway.
I did sit in on one though. It was a DUI case.
Oh, that was wonderful. I still think we need to try to do that more often. But in the times that we live in, there probably aren't any open to the public. So
no, we should just go back to when we see that attorney practicing. Just follow him around.
I'll just call his office. Hey, I just need to know if he's going to be in court this week. Big fan. I follow his work. But there were people that were outraged, as mentioned, and among them, and as a exemplar, I have this fine lady who says, still can't get over the fact that the president's supporters resorted to unprecedented violence against the government, at the main argument being made by GOPers against deterring it is their fear of further angering those same people.
Unprecedented what?
Unprecedented violence against the government.
I don't even know where to begin on that. Crack open a book.
Absolutely divorced from reality.
Zachary, I remember...
It's not even the most violent attack against the Capitol building.
Zachary, I remember I was a small child, and O.J. Simpson trial on every day, it was the boring news. Remember I got back from, I think it was a Happy Meal. I had a Happy Meal. My aunt did not do the ketchup only. If there was onions on it, I didn't like it. Anyways, breaking news! From Oklahoma City. There was a bombing. It seems like violence against the federal government.
Oh, I think so. I think that Tim McVeigh might qualify.
That's just one dude.
Yeah, and, Unabomber guy. He was also sending bombs to government people, wasn't he? I can't remember exactly.
I don't know. I didn't know that was against government people. There was the anthrax stuff. That was to. I remember some government officials. That was in recent years. Well, shoot, 20 years ago now.
Oh yeah, just 7 years ago, the Bundys took over that federal property or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm not even going into there's actual secession of states in the South, and they made and waged war against. I mean, that's a pretty big obvious. That's the obvious one.
Yeah, whether if you just want to narrow it down to non-state domestic actors, you have the Weather Underground, you have Puerto Rican separatists. And yeah, Tim McVeigh, I don't know. I thought he was associated with the group. It was related to the Waco stuff, I believe, right?
He was agitated by it. I don't think he was a part of any group. I thought he was he acted. That's the thing, that he acted alone. Well, he had one accomplice, I believe, but like, I mean, it was just them two. You know, it wasn't like he was part of the anti-Oklahoma or the anti-federal club, Oklahoma branch or whatever. He was like his own thing.
Yeah, he needed.
And I'm sure that in the 60s and 70s the Klan did something, you know, before the feds infiltrated it or whatever. But I'm sure they enacted some violence against the government of some sort. That was when they were actually pretty militant.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean,
a lot of my understanding of the Klan, other than what I know from you, is that they were a lot of the high-ranking members of the communities that they were in were involved in it, and so they got a pass on a lot of the stuff they did. And so they worked hand in glove with like the police force and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but there's a whole thing. I mean, what time period are you talking about? Whatever, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, just this summer though, and continuing to this day, there were people trying to burn federal courthouses and stuff out west.
Yeah, they shoot. Well, there was I remember there is a wonderful photo of a police precinct up in Plains.
Yeah. Burn police stations.
I'm sure that belonged to some sort of historical society.
I believe they set the mayor's apartment building afire.
Yeah, so it's a bit obnoxious to say that as unprecedented violence.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. See, it's stuff like this. It's just like, okay, all right, we want to talk. Let's talk about what's going on here, and we get down to the nitty gritty. But a lot of this is just hyperbolized rhetoric. And I have some ideas about why this might be, but we'll get into that. But moving on from this, this is the justification. This is why action must be taken. And then we go on to our friend Jimmy Kimmel, who I used to watch on Comedy Central with Adam Carolla in The Man Show, which I really enjoyed. With this spicy tweet he decided to tweet out.
Oh no.
I'm all for healing, but before we heal, we need to make sure the surgery is finished. There's a large cancerous tumor that still needs to be removed. We must cut out the disease. We must purify ourselves and our nation of this trouble that we've been in. Before we can embrace and heal, we must exorcise ourselves from all that bad blood, my friend. We must bleed it out. Let's say. Yeah,
that's that's an interesting choice of words. Because that's the language that is used up preceding genocides. What you do is you find a segment of the population. It could be whatever division you want, really, as evidence in the course of human history. Most evidence, 20th century, because the mechanization and industrialization of mass murder, but and not always, because you got Khmer Rouge and then also Rwanda, where they just bludgeoned or chopped people to death.
Yeah. Machetes.
And so, what?
Yeah, with the machetes.
Yeah. Well, Khmer Rouge, they use clubs. I mean, because why waste a bullet when you could just use a club?
They're expensive. You can't give everybody guns, and you wouldn't want to, because you just train these people to be a uproarious, murderous bunch You don't want them to be able to take on
No.
your forces.
No. Right. Well, plus, then there's other issues like you want to make sure you could win your war against the battle-hardened Vietnamese army who's been through the crucible against America for the past 15 years or whatever. But anyways, no, that's the same type of language that's used prior to ethnic cleansing of some sort.
Oh my pearls. Yeah, it wasn't lost on some people. This is what used to be called eliminationist rhetoric, deployed in the months and years leading up to a genocide. Now it's good though. Everything's cool. He's a comedian. And then this follow-up tweet, which I found especially spicy. Jimmy Kimmel wants us to rise up and chop down the tall trees. When will he hand out the machetes? And that's a reference to Rwanda.
Yeah.
Specifically what they said, and I don't know. They had a whole Hollywood film once again about this, which I found extremely interesting and troubling, but it was a good film. You dehumanize, you other them, you say that they are the disease afflicting you and the cause of your problems, and then you hand out machetes to everybody, and I didn't know they were going to do all that to those people that I told them were the enemy and the source of all their problems. Oh my. I can't believe they did that. Well, what are you going to do? The mob. And they just murdered.
Yeah, they're not always that, even
millions.
They're not even like the faux apology. Oh yeah, gosh, I remember reading some of that stuff in Rwanda. But I had a Holocaust survivor come and speak to us for the German club. Always hosted it at our high school, and they always hosted these two. Had an actual Holocaust survivor, and then like the son of a Holocaust survivor. And they would give their speeches, and they was always talking about that. Literally, like exactly the points that you brought out about othering people, and then whatever problems you have, you just say like they're the cause of it. And then usually not apologetic though, like the whole like, oh, I didn't know that. But then again,
Well, it depends on how you can get away with it. I mean, if you're Nazi Germany and you're already in a war to try to conquer the entire world, I don't know, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you're Rwanda and you don't want UN peacekeepers and United States soldiers to be coming in there and shutting down your, takeover stuff,
yeah.
Then you have to be like, I don't know. Ooh, don't take me to the Hague after this, please.
Yeah.
You have to kill yourself Slobodan Milosevic style in the very courtroom where you're being tried for your heinous, horrendous crimes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They just recently, the past, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago, he finally caught some like the guys from the Khmer Rouge that were. They're just hiding out in the jungle, man. And I'm like, seriously, they were just hiding there. No one knew. I'm like,
they've been eating monkeys out in the forest for a decade.
Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I don't. I have no illusions on the fact that maybe where's the Hague? Is that the Netherlands? Right? Yeah. Maybe they didn't have the capabilities to know what's boots on the ground. But like, you're telling me that none of the locals knew that these guys are hiding out there?
I don't know. I personally think that we should be like kidnapping these guys out of their supposed safe spaces in their countries where they're committing these crimes. They should be bagged and dragged to the Netherlands and then hung. But that's just me. That might destabilize things. That could be worse than having them there committing their genocides and getting away with it. Not if you keep doing it. No one's going to do any more genocides. At least they're going to have to do the thing where they say, oh, I don't know what's happening. Well, their secret police take care of stuff. But they wouldn't want to get bagged and dragged. But I support bagging and dragging these monsters.
Yeah, like Batman in the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah,
He
exactly.
travels across the world.
I don't know. We had a SEAL team fly to Afghanistan, drag Osama bin Laden out of his compound, and escape with his body. I don't think there's anything that we can't do along these lines if we really wanted to. But I don't think we want to. If you want to, one day we'll get into the reasons why that may be. But anybody out there listening, to the extent that you think, oh, there's just nothing we can do about Fidel Castro or whatever, whoever your boogeyman dictator out in the world is, know that to the extent that the government's telling you that, they are lying to you, and they can do whatever they want. They can get whoever they want anytime they want. They just don't want to for reasons, and the reasons are complicated and numerous. But yeah, these monsters exist, live, and operate in the world because we allow them to. Something, sovereign nation, something. I don't know. But
sometimes sovereign nation.
But I was even more troubled, Adam, when I saw this next one, where it seemed like the eliminatory rhetoric was being directed toward a particular group that I identify with. All right, here we have this gentleman. And we're talking about the protesters. And we have quotes, and it says, "This is authentic white American Christianity on display," he said of Wednesday's event. The challenge for white Christian America is to examine what they have wrought religiously. And what I mean is that the white supremacist Christian nationalists who staged an insurrection at the Capitol are not holed up by themselves in an enclave somewhere. They are in the churches, mingling among others. Christians who may or may not be appalled by their actions. In your own midst, Christians, you white Christians in this nation, among you, there are those that would foment this unprecedented violence against the government that we must excise from our nation before we can heal. I don't know. I put all the pieces of that puzzle together, and I was a bit uneased. All right, good thing I got guns. What are you gonna do? I don't know. This is all
careful.
Bad. This is in America.
Be careful. They're in your churches, and you know how you can identify them? Look at the color of their skin.
Oh my God.
That's what it says. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
absurd. 10 years ago, I would never have thought that I would read something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. There's weird stuff happening this week, man, and last week, and I don't. All right, listen, everybody. I want you to all calm down. But because this is so dumb. And it's the exact reason why this is happening is because for whatever reason, we've allowed the federal government that was supposed to be limited and restricted and impotent mostly to being able to affect our daily lives to have this unprecedented power over us. And now, because of this, and because whoever controls that government is able to wield that power and to fight their enemies and to afflict them with whatever agenda that they want, because we've removed all the safeguards, that now it's a fight to the death to control the government. That's why people care who the president is. Not because if the president could only do original constitutionally delineated powers, who would care? You couldn't even have a standing army, hardly.
No. It'd basically be like some of your officers, so that when a war would arise, you could have someone who could help train and lead.
Yeah, you had West Point or whatever, but And the expansion of the Commerce Clause. If the federal government couldn't tell you what you could do in your own state,
Yeah.
they couldn't do anything. Commerce between the states. All right. See what you can do about regulating that without it being considered interstate commerce regulation that is unlawful for Congress to do. Because it should be that way. It shouldn't be the way it is now, where interstate commerce falls into interstate commerce, which is in the purview of Congress, because it could have some effect on interstate commerce. It should be the other way. To the extent your regulation of interstate commerce is effectively regulating intrastate or commerce within a state, it should be unlawful as applied. But no, we don't have that right now. Right now we have a situation where the federal government can tell you that you have to buy a particular product or you have to pay a fine. Nonsense. If you just... And no one's going to do this, because how do you even do it? Everybody wants this now because the war for the power has begun like 50 years ago or whatever. That's what all these political battles and cultural wars are. You control the federal government, you can basically dictate the society that you can envision and all of the bad stuff that comes along with that. And the other side, if you let them win, can do the same thing to you. So it becomes a mortal struggle. I don't know how you walk that back, but that's what you got to do for saneness to be brought back. The president can sit over there, and to the extent Canada gets rowdy, he can send the troops up. And that's about all he should be doing. I don't care. And then none of this happens. No one cares anymore. Now you're looking at your governor, and you're saying, well, who's that guy? This is where the magic really happens, inside the state. Yeah. And whatever the politics are there, how that they can affect your lives. Speaking of, you may have seen this, but shocking discovery, Michael Madigan actually isn't Speaker of the Illinois House for life.
I saw that. Yep.
Dethroned Mike Madigan after decades.
Yeah.
And the House has made Emanuel Chris Welch the new speaker. I guess the scandal was too much. I don't know. I think that might have something to do with it. Mike Madigan's also getting old, so they probably needed to find some new blood to start moving into high-ranking leadership positions. And Mike's daughter wasn't really gaining the traction. I think it was counterproductive to her at some point that her last name was Madigan, related to all that stuff.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know anything about Representative Welch. Do you know anything about this guy?
No, I don't know anything. I think that's the plan.
Yeah. I imagine he's from Chicago. West Suburban Hillside. No, he's from the Chicago suburbs. Northern Illinois, Democrat. So my guess is that this will change absolutely nothing as far as the Democratic agenda goes. And it will go one step toward hiding the corruption and probably will allow Mike Madigan to continue to pull strings from behind the scenes. Revolutionary changes, friends.
Yeah.
But they did pass a new law, and people were up in arms about this. Everybody on my friends list all of a sudden had updated profile pictures on Facebook, wherein they had thin blue line borders around their Facebook profiles. But there was a 700-page criminal justice reform bill passed in the dead of night. Among other things it did, it eliminated cash bail system.
Ooh.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
It mandated body cameras for every police officer. It prohibited police departments from purchasing military-esque stuff, and there was some particular things listed, as I understand it. I actually didn't read the 700 pages of thing.
Purchase or received via grant from the Department of Homeland Security.
They're not permitted to equip themselves such, is my understanding.
Oh, interesting.
They are to receive additional training on use of force and de-escalation.
Okay.
And one thing that I saw specifically was it banned chokeholds. Banned chokeholds. I don't know. I don't know what people were up in arms about too much. All of that seems kind of reasonable. I've got some theoretical issues with eliminating cash bail as a thing in general.
What are you going to do?
But not specifically. Like, cash bail is problematic the way it's used currently. So it needed to be reformed. But eliminating it altogether as a tool, it's like the nuclear option. I don't know about that. You can... the purpose of it is to give an incentive to the guy who got arrested to show up for trial.
Yeah.
You aren't allowed to, as a judge, to lock somebody up before trial unless you check boxes. Like, they're going to run away. Or they're going to kill somebody while they're out. Or they're going to try to tamper with the jury and those kinds of things. And you have to make specific findings before you can remand to custody. But if the guy's locked up for a low-level drug charge, like he was, transporting a pound of marijuana or something, $2,000 bond is as good as remand. So the judge just sets bail at, $200,000, and you have to come up with $20,000 to get out of jail. All right. Well, I'm not getting out of jail. and so you can get around that. There needs to be some kind of ability to pay analysis. What incentive can you impose on them that is attainable by that person, but will create, that incentive to show up for trial and to not do the bad thing? I'm sure there's any hundreds of things you could do, but they usually don't because they got a docket full of 1,000 of these guys and they're trying to get through to the end of the week. And so they're like, bond, 20 grand. And so that's the trouble. And because they're doing that, then you need to do something to reform the system to make it so that they don't just do that and they actually affect the intent of the system. So now I guess they'll have to.
Yeah.
You can't just say bond. And they've been the home detention and the bracelets and all that stuff, and people don't understand that detainees are charged hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
In fees to maintain those systems.
Right. I mean, if the maintenance for that was less, it'd be like a really good system, because then you would have kind of that accountability with that freedom, without having astronomical cost,
Yeah.
But that's always like an exorbitant amount too, because they've got that juicy local government contract or whatever that they can. I mean,
yeah.
And then they really gouge you for the
DUIs and the bait device, and that's a whole thing. And the other thing that they had in there, you can't lose your license anymore if you're unable to pay your fees, or you don't pay your fees and fines and that kind of stuff.
Oh wow!
So they can't use that as a lever. to punish you after the fact for not being able to pay.
They're
And then
doing
cut the legs out from under you because you can't get a job. You can't drive anywhere anymore. You don't have a license.
the Illinois government really pressed for that increase in taxes. They really pushed for the moving from the flat tax to the progressive tax because we're going to hit a crisis. And then to pass this thing that's going to, what I'm hearing, lessen the fees collected by the by the state of Illinois and the county governments and stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of other stuff that I heard about too. That's ancillary to that. Like the bonds can be used when they're defaulted to help pay restitution, and there's all this kind of stuff that you can't do anymore.
So hypocritical. What's this? It's urgent that we pass this progressive tax system because we're facing a budget crisis right now. And then oh well, that stinks. We're going to have to make some cuts, and then they just cut their revenue.
Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense. They're doing good things on the other side. We got a chat say, generally bond and misdemeanors is set by Supreme Court rules. Class A misdemeanors are $2,500, 10%, unless set higher by warrant or at bond hearing. Yeah, $2,500, 10% of that, $250. Not out of the realm of possibility for most, violators. And that seems fine. You run into problems though. In a lot of situations where it's abused, and that's what I know. I don't know. I don't practice in criminal courts, particularly like in Cook County or whatever. So I don't know exactly what that looks like. The only other thing I saw was the elimination of the chokehold. Chokeholds aren't necessarily bad, particularly when you're trying to use non-lethal force to control or less lethal force to control a perpetrator of a violent crime or something like that. If you can restrict them and choke them out if they're fighting you, then you don't have to kill them with your guns. Those kind of things. Joe Rogan goes on about this sometimes, but I don't know. I haven't started my jiu-jitsu classes yet since COVID's been around. So
didn't you choke someone out in high school or something?
Did I? Oh, that was, yeah. Accidentally made the kid cry.
Accidentally.
It was an accident. Anyway, folks, we're wrapping up the show now. I know we're running late, but we had to make up the time from our technical difficulties, which I'll try to edit out most of that from the video when it goes up. So if you want to rewatch this and get all of the goodness, then you won't have to deal with that. But as per our tradition we started the last time, and we haven't had to carry through again, we finish off this evening with our ice cold fact of the day, coming to you from Ice-T. Ice cold fact. The first rule I learned when I started my life of hustling: lazy equals broke. Spitting facts, ice cold facts, my friends. But feels good to be back, folks. I'm glad you're here to join us tonight. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you're not, so you can see when our videos go up. And leave a comment below. If you'd like to be on the show, or you have a topic you'd like to have us discuss, or you would like to discuss with us, let us know. You can follow us on Twitter, on our Twitter handles, located conveniently below our names, or the Triggered Media Twitter right down there. Well, that's our show for the night. Adam, did you have anything you would like to say here at the end?
Sic Semper Tyrannis?
No, I'm just saying. No. This is the most unprecedented violence against the government. Not the various assassinations of presidents. Anyway, don't get me going again. All right, folks. It was good talking to you tonight, and you have a great evening. We'll see you next time on Trigger.